Hi, everyone. I have not recorded anything for quite a long time, partly because I was thinking, why bother? No point to it. Like a lot of you, I was feeling a sort of overwhelmed, not apathy, but just overwhelmed by everything that's going on in the world to the point of jaw-dropping ghastliness. Uh, and then also partly because I'm recovering from my broken arm, which of course I still don't have a really working right arm, but at least it's out of its cast, and I can wiggle my fingers and stuff and sort of grip things. Anyway, that is a work in progress. And then the other thing was I was busy directing the play that I wrote, All These Women, which opened last night at Theater 40 in Beverly Hills. Let me show you. There's the brochure. We've been doing, well, I haven't, but the theater is in existence for like 59 years over there in the Beverly Hills High School, but it's not associated with the Beverly Hills High School. It's a private entity, but we are on the grounds of the Beverly Hills High School, Theater 40. And the play that I wrote and which opened last night, although it was derailed for a couple of weekends because of COVID breaking out in the cast and with the director, is about women voting. It's called All These Women, and it's about the last years of the suffrage movement to gain the vote for American women in 1920 is when it was finally achieved. And now, of course, there's some people in this country who want to unachieve it, who want to eradicate it, who want to go to a system where women go into the home and stay there and pop out the babies. And what was it? Some Republicans said women are the kind of people that people come out of. Maybe that was supposed to be complimentary. It didn't sound, it sounded like, some kind of machine or something. Women are not just the people that people come out of. Women are just people, full stop, period. Whatever they're doing, they are people. A man is not a man if he doesn't have children. Not all men have children, and yet they lead productive lives. Not all women have children, and yet they lead productive lives. I'm one of those people that J.D. Vance would call, an abomination unto God or something. I'm not sure exactly, but I am a childless cat lady. I am married, and I have a full life, but I never had children. So, according to J.D. Vance, I'm just a waste of space. And that attitude is in resurgence in certain parts of this country with a certain amount of people. The trad wife tradition you may know about, I'm sure you do. Let's all go and be submissive to our husbands, and because your husband is submissive to God, so it's like a hierarchical chain kind of thing. That's interesting how it works out for them that way, so that they can be, they can be near the top of the chain. So, well, God is supreme. Yeah, but God doesn't, checking in with you every day and, telling you that you spent too much on the groceries or whatever. It's not that kind of relationship. If you say you're subservient to God, but God basically lets you do whatever you need to do, then, I would call that your personal freedom of choice, which you don't want to allow to women in general. Now, of course, these trad wives are choosing this, or they're being brainwashed into it, but that's their choice. I'm not against people making their own choices. If they want to live that kind of life and that works for them, okay. What I am against is an enforcement across the board, so everybody is supposed to live that way. I don't think it's news to a lot of you that Project 2025 is being implemented as we speak. The one that Trump said, I don't know anything about it. Yes, he full well knows about it. He knows all he needs to know about it. He isn't, he's not a reader. He doesn't look into things very much, but, he knows that these are people who support him and what he wants to do. So that's basically all he needs to know. And Project 2025 wants us to have a white Christian theocracy in this country. And they want it to be their way or the highway. They're going to want to roll back gay marriage. They're going to want to roll back women's rights. They're going to want to roll back probably all kinds of civil rights, because it doesn't fit their vision of theocracy. Now, I don't need to point you to history. I could. I know a lot of people are allergic to learning about history, but theocracy never works. Yeah, I mean, it can work for a while, but in the long term, it does not work. Because the idea of making somebody follow your faith when they don't actually follow your faith doesn't work. Trying to convert Jewish people to Christianity, very, very unworkable. Trying to convert people to anything that they don't decide themselves that they want to do is always, always, always a mistake. Always has been historically, and I believe always, always will be. So what they're trying to create here in this country would be a huge mistake for this country. And unfortunately, we are being steadily pushed in that direction. Now, of course, there are some people who don't really care about the Christian part of it. They just care about the white supremacist part of it or the hierarchical part of it. So really, the world is broken down into two major groups. People who are comfortable with and want to have a hierarchical society where there's a top, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and all the way down to the bottom, and everybody knows their little slot in the ladder, and that's where everybody is supposed to stay. Maybe occasionally they can go up a notch or two, but mostly or down, but mostly that's where they're supposed to stay. And a lot of people feel secure with that and want the world to be run that way. And then there are another large group of people, of which I am one, where nobody is superior to anybody else, and we don't have a hierarchy. We have a partnership. We have a society, a community where people work together, and it's not all this top-down stuff. Yeah, you might occasionally have a leader or something of this or that, but it's not it's not a monarchy or a presidency of any length of time. When presidents start talking about, third terms and stuff and saying that they never lost an election and all, that's, a warning sign. Obviously more than a warning sign. And then when you've got Putin, making himself president for life, basically, and anybody who disagrees with him, allegedly, might suddenly find themselves midair, then, that's dictatorships, authoritarian regimes, fascist regimes. That is what that is. And that is what we have now. We have that in this country now, for all intents and purposes, because Congress is just a rubber stamp for Trump, doing whatever he wants, and scared to so much as blink if he doesn't approve. We've got a room full of generals staring stony-faced as Hegseth struts around talking about you need to be lean and mean and no beards. Well, I looked out at that crowd. I didn't see one beard, actually. I don't know what the hell he was talking about with the beardos thing. I have no fucking clue what that was about. But anyway, so we've got what's happening in Chicago, people being pulled out of apartment buildings, children dragged naked out of an apartment building in Chicago. That's not an allegedly, that happened. People being scooped up, and American citizens being scooped up, and no warrants, no nothing. And, you know, that's where we are now. And so my play, whoa, circles way back around to the play, is about women protesting and signing petitions. Not militant. They weren't militant. They walked and protested. They did hunger strikes in prison sometimes, but they were not hurting anybody. They were not militant, but they still found excuses to arrest them because they were annoying. And the government decided it was World War I at some point in this, and they like, you know, you're annoying in a time of war, you know, and so they found excuses to arrest them, even though what they were doing was constitutional and was recognized eventually as being constitutional, but the powers that be still arrested them and slung them into the workhouse and different prisons, you know, because they were annoying and the powers that be did not like that, which is what happens with hierarchical societies when you interfere with their well, not even interfere, just tell them that what they're doing is wrong and that they shouldn't be doing it. We've got protesters on the street all around this country now. How soon, and it probably already happened, they're going to start slinging all these protesters into jail, not because they're doing anything militant, just because they're there and they're annoying. And the Supreme Court has given Trump all the leeway he wants, and he has his little sticky fingers on every part of government now, and even where he doesn't, government has been taken over by these people who are doing, you know, whatever they want to do, and screw you if you think it's bad or unconstitutional. And we have judges saying, no, you're not supposed to do that. Excuse me, but they're doing it anyway in many cases. So where are we? We are just in a very, very bad situation. And I think we should acknowledge that. We should acknowledge that we have a push with Project 2025 to make this into a Christian theocracy. And it doesn't matter what your faith is. Theocracy is not ever a good way to put it across. It doesn't work. But that's where we're headed. And for those people who don't care about the faith part of it, but they just care about the supremacy part of it, we've also got that in the works. So what do we do? What did we do? Well, in my case, I put my little feather on the scale by writing a play and having people see it. Somebody came up to me last night and said to me, as if it was news to me, this play is very apropos. And I'm like, yeah. I know. Now, when I wrote it, I didn't realize how apropos it was going to be, but I should have seen the writing on the wall. Civil rights in this country across the board are being threatened, except if you want a gun. That's fine. There, no problem. Get yourself a gun. You can do that, you know, with very little effort. Although I imagine they're going to start going, wait a minute, can't give the Democrats any guns. Wait, let's check and make sure they're not liberal before we give them a gun, you know. I don't know. That isn't where we are right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't go there. Actually, nothing would surprise me at this point. I am past the point of being shocked. I cannot be. I guess I shouldn't, you know, challenge the universe, but I am past the point of being shocked. I can't even believe that everything is happening the way it's happening, but it is. And we have to call it out however we can. You can write a play, you can make a video, you can go on a No Kings protest again, like they're going on the 18th. There's going to be another No Kings protest. You can be like Jimmy Kimmel and stand up. If you're a performer, Bad Bunny, you can stand up, you can be counted, you can speak out. They are dependent on people being quiet and being scared and saying nothing and just letting it happen because they can still get their, you know, caramel macchiato at the coffee shop. And so it's all cool. It's not all cool. None of it is all cool. It is very, very not cool. So you have to decide what you're going to do. I'm not advocating violence. I will never advocate violence. I do not think it's workable. I just think it leads to more violence. But that doesn't mean we are silent or quiet or acquiescent. So don't you be silent or quiet or acquiescent, because the time is now to speak up before you just can't speak at all. Okay, folks.